Welcome to our family Bible quiz on Romans 1. We've got 25 questions for you today, 10 true or false, 10 multiple choice, 5 fill in the blank, and a special think it through question at the end. Get ready to test your knowledge of this important chapter. Question 1, true or false? Paul wrote the letter to the Romans while he was in Rome. True or false? False. Paul wrote this letter from Corinth before he had ever visited Rome. Tricky, huh? Question 2, true or false? Paul calls himself an apostle in the opening of Romans. True or false? True. Right. In verse 1, Paul introduces himself as an apostle of Christ Jesus. Question 3, true or false? The gospel was promised beforehand through the prophets. True or false? True. Verse 2 tells us the gospel was promised in the Holy Scriptures. Question 4, true or false? Paul says he's planning to visit the Romans to scold them for their sins. True or false? False. Paul actually wants to visit to encourage them and be encouraged by their faith. Question 5, true or false? Paul says he's obligated to preach to both Jews and Gentiles. True or false? True. Verse 14 says Paul is under obligation to Greeks and barbarians, wise and foolish alike. Question 6, true or false? The righteousness of God is revealed in the gospel. True or false? True. Right. In verse 17, the gospel reveals God's righteousness from faith to faith. Question 7, true or false? Paul says God's wrath is revealed against all ungodliness. True or false? True. Verse 18 tells us God's wrath is revealed against all ungodliness and unrighteousness. Question 8, true or false? This one's a hard one. Good luck. True or false? People have no excuse for not knowing God because creation reveals him. True or false? True. Verse 20 says God's invisible attributes are clearly seen in creation, leaving people without excuse. Question 9, true or false? Paul says people who reject God become wiser in their own eyes. True or false? True. Verse 22 says they became fools, claiming to be wise. What a paradox. Question 10, true or false? God gave people over to sinful desires as a reward for their good behavior. True or false? False. Actually, verse 24 says God gave them over as a consequence of their idolatry and rejection of him. We are warmed up now. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this quiz. Up next, multiple choice questions. Question 11, what does Paul say he longs to see the Romans for? A, to correct their doctrine. B, to impart some spiritual gift. C, to collect an offering. D, to ride their famous Roman chariots. B, to impart some spiritual gift. Verse 11 says Paul wants to strengthen them with spiritual gifts. And no, he didn't mention chariot rides. Question 12, what is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes? A, the law. B, the gospel. C, good works. D, a really loud trumpet. B, the gospel. Verse 16 tells us the gospel is God's power for salvation. Trumpets are powerful, but not that powerful. Question 13. What is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness? A. God's love. B. God's wrath. C. God's humor. D. A giant lightning bolt. B. God's wrath. Verse 18 says God's wrath is revealed against ungodliness, though a giant lightning bolt would get people's attention. Question 14. What can be known about God is plain to people because A. God has shown it to them. B. They studied hard. C. The angels told them. D. They read it in tea leaves. A. God has shown it to them. Verse 19 says what can be known about God is plain because God has shown it. Tea leaves aren't mentioned. Question 15. This one's a hard one. Good luck. What do people do despite knowing God? A. They glorify Him. B. They give thanks to Him. C. They neither glorify nor thank Him. D. They send Him thank you cards. C. They neither glorify nor thank Him. Verse 21 says though they knew God, they didn't honor or thank Him. Heavenly thank you cards would have been nice. Question 16. What did people exchange the glory of God for? A. Silver and gold. B. Images resembling mortal man. C. Political power. D. A lifetime supply of olive oil. B. Images resembling mortal man. Verse 23 says they exchanged God's glory for images. Olive oil was valuable, but not that valuable. Question 17. What did God give people over to in their sinful desires? A. Their own foolish thinking. B. A timeout. C. A second chance. D. A free trip to Jerusalem. A. Their own foolish thinking. Verse 28 says God gave them over to a debased mind. No Holy Land vacations mentioned. Question 18. What does Paul say these people are full of? A. Envy, murder, strife. B. Love, joy, peace. C. Wisdom and knowledge. D. Really good pizza recipes. A. Envy, murder, strife. Verse 29 lists these among their sins. Ancient Roman pizza was good, but not that good. Question 19. What do these people approve of in others? A. Their good deeds. B. Their sinful practices. C. Their fashion sense. D. Their ability to wrestle lions. B. Their sinful practices. Verse 32 says they not only do these things but approve of others who practice them. Lion wrestling wasn't mentioned. Question 20. What is the just penalty for sin? A. Death. B. Community service. C. A stern lecture. D. Having to wear a I sinned t-shirt. A. Death. Verse 32 says those who practice such things deserve death, though a shame t-shirt might be effective too. I hope you have been getting some correct. Next up, fill in the blank questions. Question 21. Romans 1:1 says Paul was set apart for the blank. The answer is Gospel of God. Paul was specially chosen to share the good news. Question 22. Romans 1:16 says Paul is not blank of the gospel. The answer is ashamed. Paul was proud to preach the gospel no matter what. Question 23. Romans 1:17 says the righteous shall live by blank. The answer is faith. This became one of the most famous verses about how we're saved. Question 24. This one's a hard one. Good luck. Romans 1:20 says God's invisible attributes are clearly seen in blank. The answer is creation. The whole world shows us what God is like if we have eyes to see. Question 25. Romans 1:25 says people exchange the truth about God for a blank. The answer is lie. What a terrible trade, truth for falsehood. We are almost done. Remember to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this quiz. For our final question, a think it through question to discuss with your family. Question 26. Romans 1 shows how people can know God through creation yet still reject Him. What are some ways we might be tempted to ignore what we know about God in our daily lives? Discuss this with your family. Thanks for doing the quiz. We hope you've had fun.